Hey everybody, this is motherfucking Roger that episode 7, and tonight I have a fucking special guest, man. We have the motherfucker, the man, Eric Abbenante. How you doing, bro?
Oh, thank you so much for inviting me to my own place. I really appreciate it. You just came over without a text back. I mean, let a man sleep until 5 p.m. like a normal person, you know?
I came in here like fucking at, what was it, like 2 hours ago, and I was like, this motherfucker probably stayed up till 6 in the morning and just fell asleep.
That's exactly what happened. Shout out to Hite Tonight show, the bane of my existence, the reason I stay up all fucking night.
Yeah, man. Eric's if you don't know, man, Eric Abbenante is a co-creator along with Zaption of Channel 310. So Channel 310 has a bunch of great shows. One of them being the Hite Tonight show, which you can follow every week on YouTube slash Channel 310. And he basically directs, edits, writes the monologue with Niles. Sucks Victor off a little beforehand just to get him ready. But that's how you know he's ready for Hollywood.
You have to rub his nipples in a certain way, and then he has the ability to read. You know,
it's like that for like some of these cows. No, damn, who said that, bro?
Yeah, you know, I looked up a lot of videos online of how to herd cows, you know, and that's how we work with Victor on the monologue.
Well, let me tell you this: as a cow herder, man, you fucking like made him the best this weekend because he had the best monologue. You guys can check it out. Eric's currently editing it. Victor came out with the best monologue he's ever done for the Hite Tonight show after what, 3 seasons?
Yeah, actually, for out of 3 seasons, this is his best monologue. He only fucked up 1.5 jokes. That's a record for him. That's amazing. Like, to give you perspective, season 3, episode 8, which was one of his worst monologues. It was right before one of his best ones, season 3, episode 9. And he, 1 through 8, he was great. Like, didn't fuck up a single thing. And then jokes 9, 10, 11, and 13 just completely butchered, just destroyed, completely gone. But it's been the cool thing about Hite Tonight show was it was the first show that I was working on before we started Channel 310, and it was actually kind of how I met Niles and Arthur and all these guys, you know, and solidified our friendship. We started Hite Tonight show at Dronebox. That's season 1 of Hite Tonight show. We consider that the lost season. We don't really like acknowledge it because Dronebox sucks. Literally, me and a guy named Derek, so Derek and Eric, can outdo an entire fucking studio with Jew money. You know, it's like it's an. Yeah, like, seriously, let me, since no one listens to this shit, let me break it down for you. This guy, Nolan Silverstein, got all this money from his parents, and he literally ran an entire brick and mortar studio into the ground. Mm-hmm. And, you know, like, there were little things that were just so fucking stupid about this studio. For instance, they bought 30 different Canon DSLRs and put them in a circle so that they could do one of those circular things. And I was like, hey, fuckos, why don't you just buy a rotation system and one camera? Wouldn't that be so much fucking cheaper? And it's the exact same thing you're getting out of it. It's the exact same fucking thing. It's little things like that. They fucked up the audio. They fucked up a lot of things. But, you know, through Dronebox, you know, that was the first time. Niles there, you got to see that. I was actually good at what I did. You know, Arthur came in as a drop. Martin Rizzo dropped out, or Martin Rizzo or whatever. And so I had Arthur coming out because I just saw Arthur at Niles' mic. And I was like, wow, Arthur's probably funnier than this Martin Rizzo guy anyways. Let's have him on there. Damn, man. Let's have him on there anyways. And Arthur was amazing, you know, and it was like the first time I really got to be truly exposed to Arthur, who's now the host of Blunts and Brunch.
Arthur's one of my favorite comedians in there.
Yeah, but, you know,
so fucking funny.
I really feel like that time when I had him fill in for Hite Tonight show, I feel like that solidified our friendship because, you know, I think before then we weren't really that exposed to each other, but you know, so Hite Tonight show was really kind of like it was the foundation of Channel 310. And then, you know, and me and Niles started working on our own stuff, and then Victor was hanging on to Dronebox for a little while, and then we pulled him over to Channel 310. But we still had. So let me give you the order. So we had Secret Black People meeting September 17th, 2018. We then had Blunts and Brunch October 22nd, 2017, and also the interesting thing is Blunts and Brunch was supposed to be a segment on Secret Black People meeting, and then I passed out that day, and we eventually just reworked it. It ended up being a perfect situation because we ended up reworking it as a show. Then we add Small Talk with Lila Hart, January 22nd, 2018. Nice. And history's made there. And then later that month, we add, not later that month, I think in March, we add Hite Tonight Show. Yeah. And then it's been going ever since.
Banger after banger after banger after
Roger was on season 2, episode 2, which we essentially consider our second episode of the real show. And it was one of the best episodes of all time. It's actually the highest rated Hite Tonight Show episode to date. Roger Lopez, DeMar Randy, and I believe HD Ford is the musical guest. It was just like the first episode where everything came together. We had it perfect. The first episode, Niles and Lila were on it. They did great, but like technical difficulties across the board. We had trouble with the speakers. We weren't nailing the music yet. The mic was off. They did good, but we didn't do good of capturing them. And then the second episode, I felt like we actually did a good job of capturing everybody, And so that was, that was really cool. And then it kind of culminated with the last episode. Niles did like one of the shittiest episodes in terms of our production. And then season 3, episode 9, I felt like was just top to bottom perfection in production. It was great. We had our best monologue. We had our best everything. And it just kind of comes full circle that, we've been working on this shit for so goddamn long, over a year and a half, and now we're making good shit.
You're making great fucking productions from the Hite Tonight Show. And if it serves me correct, it usually comes out on Saturdays. Right before the next episode's about to shot?
If I have all the footage, and it's ready to go, we have it up on the Saturday morning, and then we shoot Saturday night.
So check it out, guys. This episode, the season 3 season 3, episode 9 with Niles Zaption is going to come out this Saturday. I'm releasing this tonight, so please look out for it. Because I was in the fucking audience because, got to support the homie, and it was fucking hilarious. Niles Zaption is a fucking goon, man. How many people can run 15 minutes in a garage behind the Food for Less and kill throughout the whole thing? And fucking you can learn from it too, motherfuckers.
He had a great set, and it was a birthday set. It's interesting because when
it was his birthday,
I think those sets, when you get like really trashed before, it can go two ways. But you could tell Niles had really prepared for it. So like, because we had talked about a lot of those jokes throughout like the couple weeks, so it was kind of funny because it was like, wow, he's really trashed, but he's still really locked in. And I've been there. He said Ron Artest. That's hilarious. But yeah, like I've also been in a situation where you're a little too fucked up and you want it really bad. You want to be funny so bad, and you press a little too much.
Now, the thing about now is that, man, I've seen him kill that with that material he did on the Hite Tonight Show at the Improv. So it was just like a pleasure to see it again. Like he has this bit about like, man, I'm not going to give it away, motherfuckers. Go watch it.
And he was, Roger was great on season 2 and season 3 Hite Tonight Show. Really showed a lot of growth. And
my nut growth.
But you had one of the first. You and DeMar had really good sets on season 2 and really set a good tone. And now in season 3, you came back and you had a really good set. It was really polished. It was probably one of the most polished sets we've ever had for Hite Tonight Show. It was really strong. It was a little on the shorter side, but it was so tight as a motherfucker.
And I appreciate Eric for fucking hooking me up with like a bunch of these clips that I was able to like fucking put on my Instagram, and I got a lot of support from those clips. Like a lot of people have hit me up after that, being like, "Yo, man, I want to come out to one of the shows," and I've been telling them like, "Yo, man, come out to Goon Squad, Mike, because that's where not only could you see me fucking run a fucking dope set in front of like in a space that's fucking awesome. You know, we're smoking weed in there, we're drinking in there. It's one of the only theaters in LA that you can smoke weed while you watch comedy.
It's
That's
a unique
underground.
it's a unique place to watch comedy. It's very punk rock, yeah.
Super punk rock. So just a little shout out to Goon Squad Mike. Every Friday, it's what is it, Wednesday? So in 2 days.
Yeah, so that was like, so I gave you like the first half of Channel 310's history with the Hite Tonight show, and then the second half is like, then we started expanding even more. We added my show. It's a political talk show, Eric Abbenante versus the World. We added Grow Up, Chelsea Grow show. It started on Secret Black People Meeting as a correspondent piece, and now she has her own correspondent. So it's cool to see the growth of all these shows and see, you know, kind of like the Daily Show, how Colbert came from Jon Stewart's show. You know. Yeah, you know, Niles is birthing babies over here, you know, and so then after and then so those are all of our unscripted talk shows, and then at some point we released our first scripted content called Goon Squad. It's a 45-minute sketch pilot. It is not something we trifled with. It's a very big project. There's 5 multiple-minute sketches in it. There's 5 or 6 old man interludes with Victor Martinez from Hite Tonight Show doing the old man makeup, you know. And then we have 6 vignettes, which are minute or under sketches. And Roger was in maybe the most popular vignette.
Yeah, and, man. Shout out to Eddie Bravo. You're the fucking man. Thanks for reposting it. His video alone just got 20,000 views on that. Fucking maybe it's Maybelline sketch.
Yeah, and you know, the cool thing is Roger and I were just really wasted, and we were just laughing, and that's how we came.
As fuck on acid.
Yeah, we came up with that. We were dropping, and it was really, you know, it's kind of cool that we had this idea, we were laughing our asses about it, and then we actually made it a tangible thing, and now it's up forever. And it's
part of the Goon Squad sketches. Check it out.
And you know, Roger was in other sketches. He was in Pregnant N-Words for a little bit. He's in the credits too, dancing. You know, he's in more than just like one little 9-second vignette. But I'm telling you, that 9-second vignette hits as hard as anything I've done. I was very proud of it. Oh my god, it was so much fun to do.
Shout out to the gods of acid.
And the vignettes are really like a shout out to Monty Python, because they would have really cool sketches in between the sketches to tie in the sketches. You know, and I really liked that. I thought that was great. But yeah, and then
it's a fucking amazing
episode. To bring it full circle, so with Channel 310, now we're pushing into the podcast department, and I thought, what better person to really launch the podcast department than our boy Roger Lopez.
Roger that podcast, man. It's been a fucking long time coming, and I'm fucking amazing and super fucking glad to be. It's an amazing fucking opportunity to be with Channel 310, because I love all you guys, and you guys are like family to me. So this is just growth, man. This is like a fucking beating heart just going like, ah.
And I'll bring it full circle again. We had our first podcast, the Atlanta Cast, which is also on iTunes, but you can, but Roger has already, in a very short amount of time, had as many episodes as we did in like 8 weeks. So I got to give it up to Roger. He's been working his ass off. We see that,
it's been a pleasure, man.
It's just been cool to see him, like, you know, a lot of people. You know, I know a lot of people in the comedy scene who I've literally tried to pull them by the ear to do shit. I've had shit set up for them, and they won't do it. Roger is willing to just do it on his own, and that's what really success is. Is like, you know, you have a lot of people who who say they want to do shit, and when it comes down to it, they ain't doing shit. Yeah, and Roger's out there working. You know, I'm looking at, you know, the funny thing is Roger, Niles, and Victor and our Channel 310 crew. When we started this, they were all 23. They're all 24 now, I believe. Oh yeah, Niles is 22. Jesus. And so I'm telling you, like, you know, they are young, but they're like young first round draft picks. You know, like they're good. They got a high trajectory, high ceiling, and they're gonna develop into really good comedians. And I know a lot of, you know, it's tough because I've seen, You know, when you're looking at 22 or 23-year-old comedians, they're going to be raw. They're going to not be fully formed yet. And so people are going to form opinions of you guys just based off of certain moments as opposed to the whole bigger picture. And it's a tough thing. I've heard people talk shit about Niles, Victor, and Roger. And it's like, I don't think people realize how good they are for their age. And I'm not saying it's an excuse. I'm saying you guys don't see the future bigger picture of it. Of like, if they're this good at 23, how good will they be when they're our age person who's talking shit to me?
Motherfucking haters out here in LA, man. You gotta watch out, man. This shit's like a plague out here.
Because I remember when Roger started, Roger really grew a lot as a comedian. I'm not saying he was bad. I'm saying he really evolved a lot, you know, and adversity will do that to you. Or like, Roger, I can tell you right now, I saw you change a lot from your diagnosis.
Yeah, since I lost my one nut, man, it was time to crank it up. Cause
even when you had it diagnosed, I feel like it changed things in you. So can you talk about that for a little bit?
Yeah, dude. Once I fucking knew that I was gonna lose a nut, I was like, yo, man, this sucks. So immediately I was like, man, I should just crank out this material. So I was just like fucking like waiting to get my nut scanned, just walking outside nervously, just rehearsing my material, because I felt like, man, if I don't want to die, but I'm fucking gonna crank this out as much. Like, it was like my safe haven to do stand up and like practice it, to not like get my mind off of like, yo, this nut is not correct.
I have a question. So my dad just recently found out he had like a benign thing. He actually had surgery like 2 or 3 days ago. They opened him up. They found out it was benign, so it was good news.
Thank God.
But he had the surgery extended a couple weeks because he was waiting for the insurance to be, you know, covered. And so he had to wait an extra 2 weeks, right? Talk about the anticipation and the anxiety that comes from the part before you get the cancer dealt with, the pre-stuff, the waiting. Can you talk about that?
Man, the waiting was a motherfucker. I just tried my best to not make my mind get too deep into the thoughts of like, yo, man, like, what if it spreads? But I would just grind like a lot of open mics and just keep my mind off of it in general, to not like just basically think about it, because it is a motherfucker to think about it. And then the main thing that I started doing was like I started eating healthy, because like that really
eating
changes
those edibles too. I saw Roger would post, and this is part of why I became friends with him. I would see these posts of like how many edibles, he would brag about the milligrams of edibles he was taking in. And I was like, that's a boss-ass dude. I need to hang out with that dude.
Yeah, and shout out to edibles.
he would drop like 750 milligrams to 1250 regularly at Garage Mike. And we're talking Mumble City. It would be hard. We're talking
high as fuck.
But he was like Mexican Mitch Hedberg up there, man. It was really fun to watch, you know. I remember one set, it was just like he was so locked in, and he was like practically stumbling into punchlines, and I grabbed him by the fucking neck, like practically like by Doc Brown. I'm like, did you record that? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, thank God, because that shit was gold, son. Oro.
Yo, thank God, man, because edibles really saved my life, because that's another big thing. I would just stop smoking weed, because at the same time that I got diagnosed with the right nut being, a motherfucker, I also had bronchitis. So I made sure to like stop smoking weed for like 2 months, and then I just started eating a bunch of edibles, and then that's when I would get really high. Like, I thought I was getting high smoking a bunch of weed, but when you fucking eat 750 milligrams after not smoking weed, you go to like just Mumble City, as you said, bro.
Also, were you influenced by like Rick Simpson oil and that kind of idea of trying to overdose your body with THC? Because I feel that's actually I feel like that's the most effective way to fight cancer, really.
It really is, especially when like the health insurance ain't there. So for the most part, for the major part, I watched Doug Benson's episode with Tommy Chong, and then he had said Tommy Chong has said that he beat his cancer using Rick Simpson oil, which in reality is any like marijuana oil that's been turned. There's like CO2 oil.
Yeah, Rick Simpson was just the first person to have the idea to concentrate it, so it's named after him. It's not like he has like some magic stuff at his house. He's just the first one to do it. He'll even say that I'm not the one with the cure. I'm just the one who's saying let's do this shit.
And it's amazing because immediately like when we were at like me and my family, we went to go see what's up with my health insurance. I remember telling them then and there like, yo man, this oil is gonna cure my cancer or whatever I have is gonna fucking be gone. At that point, I just knew my nut wasn't large, but most likely it was cancer. But I told them then and there, and I told the lady then and there, like the one that was helping us with my health insurance, like, yeah, you haven't heard about it? Like it's this oil, it's marijuana oil. It basically just beats cancer, and that's like the basic fucking explanation for it. But that day, I just went to go fucking to the weed store by my house. And then I got like a syringe of a gram of this not Rick Simpson oil. It was just some dank CO2 oil. It was really good. I got home and I showed my dad like, yo, man, I just fucking had some of this. This is great. And he was like, yo, man, let me get some, right? So I fucking started pouring it under his tongue. And then he was like, oh, thanks, man. The next day, I was high as fuck that night. I was like, damn. I was so fucked up that night, but I was able to go to sleep. The next day I wake up and my mom was like, yeah, man, your dad was freaking out. He was like, yo, man, he wanted to call the ambulance to take him to the hospital.
And then your mom was like, it smelled like bitch in here.
Nah, if anything, she had known exactly what he was going through because I got her high on some edibles like a month before that.
God damn. Just getting the whole fucking family squad high. God damn.
I had some like marijuana, like fucking Rice Krispie. And then I just gave her like a little piece after she got out of work. And then I was like, yeah, it's going to help you sleep. You know, it's good. She took it and then she woke up like, yo, man, I'm freaking out. And then she told me that she was just freaking out on the weed. I was like, oh, yeah, I forgot I gave you some.
That's hilarious. And you actually, you do have a great support system. It's kind of funny. I forgot to mention this, but Roger and I, before all the shit I mentioned with the Channel 310 stuff, we used to run a mic called Zizou's. And the thing...
Damn, that was dope, man.
The thing, it was one of the best backyard shows. Shout out to Cocaine, the thing that ended the mic. But...
Cocaine ended the mic is funny as Zizou's.
Yeah, no, yeah, but then one of the great things about that mic was your girl Jessica would always be there. I was always impressed by that. She's definitely a ride or die. Can you talk about the support system of your girl?
Oh yeah, man. She's known me. I've been with my lady for 9 years this May, and she knew me when I was like,
shit.
Yeah, powerful, man. She knew me when I was like just fucking like, we were like 15. So
when you had two nuts.
When I had two nuts, and then I was just like really funny, but I never thought I would be a comedian until my homie was when I was like 20. He was like, yo, bro, you're like the funniest dude I know, man. Why don't you try stand up? And I was like, you think so, man? And then I just started telling people like that seed was planted in my head. And then she was always supportive. And then one day her brother was like, yo, man, I don't think he's ever gonna do it because I have been saying it for like a few months. And then that day I looked up like open mics, and I was like, yo, man, I'm gonna hit this shit up. And she's been like supportive the whole way through, you know. And she's got to see me a bunch of times at a lot of mics. And thanks to the episodes on the Hite Tonight show, she's got to see a lot more like production put into it and stuff like that. It's just been like a growth since the beginning.
She's a definitely ride or die. I remember we were doing this weed show in the Valley, and she was filming his set like a great girlfriend, and then. This girl in the crowd, what does she say to you?
I think she was like, I was doing my like bit where I get like fucking handled by some dude at a nightclub.
He's doing it really well.
And then she was like, yeah, man, it's because you look sexy or some shit.
She like screamed it out. And the funniest part was Jessica's filming, so she has to continue looking at Roger through the camera, but her neck wanted to crane so hard and be like, who the fuck is this bitch trying to take my man? But Roger's loyal. Roger likes to joke a lot, but he don't. He's actually very loyal, but he likes to joke a lot. He'd be like, where the hoes at? But then in reality, He's actually a very loyal sweetheart, but he likes to joke about where the hoes at.
It's just because it's like it's a funny term in 2019, man. It's gonna be funny forever. I think the caveman were even be like, and then the other guys were like,
I was talking about it with Jerome. It's like once you're in a long-term relationship, you just live vicariously through other people fucking around. So you're like, where the hoes at? Yeah, Niles, go get some pussy.
Oh,
you're just
exactly,
like,
man.
Get some pussy for me, bro.
I support all my homies that are like single to go get more pussy. I'm like, yeah, bro, man, go get it, man, go get it. When I was didn't come to Goon Squad mic like 2 weeks ago, I was like, man, fuck the mic, man, go get that pussy.
But really quick though, before we get into some shit, I'm gonna talk about how supportive your girl was through your cancer and shit though.
Oh man, she couldn't have been the most. She was the most supportive ever, man. She made sure that I felt like good about my mental state, that I wasn't really tripping so much about like losing a nut, because stress that you can apply to yourself fucks with you way more than like you think. So just having a better mentality to the whole situation made me a lot happier, which I think helped the cancer fucking just be less like aggressive too, because if you're like stressed out in your body, I bet cancer just feeds on that.
Yeah, I've always believed that like stress is a big factor. You having a purpose and a drive with stand-up really helps, and then the support system. You had a great support system, and I think I'm not saying everyone with those things can survive cancer, because there's still a lot of rudimentary ways we deal with cancer, and I'll touch on that in a sec. But I really do think you had a very strong support system that helped. You talked about your grandma with the prayers and shit. Talked about you with your family, but mainly I think I don't want to give too much credit, but I do think Jessica's a big part of it, because keeps you level-headed, keeps you right, keeps you believing.
She's really like a rock solid, beautiful girlfriend that I'm lucky to have gotten since high school, man. It's been a fucking blessing to be with her since then. And I remember one thing I learned in psychology and SMC was like, yeah, having a long-term girlfriend is like you got perks because it's stability, and it's been a real big thing having her like support me the whole way. And then now that she's getting into her own photography thing, that she's gonna launch her website soon. Because if you've ever seen any cool ass photos of me, it's because she's fucking taking them. Also Victor Martinez, because he also takes some dope photos. But yeah, bro. My lady, man, she's been working on this since like 6 years now. So she's finally gonna launch her like a website and like have like a great portfolio online. And it's been great that seeing her like find out what she really wants to do. And
yeah,
amazing,
I know what
man.
it's like to have a supportive girlfriend. Shout out to Lila Hart.
Lila Hart, yeah.
Yeah. In her onesie right now.
It's all fucking love, man. It's amazing having a girlfriend, man, because you have like you got your fucking back watched the whole time. You murder somebody, she's gonna be like, yeah, man, where are we gonna bury him?
Yeah,
Lila. And if it ain't like that, you gotta leave.
Lila wouldn't help me bury the body, but she would stand around me, entertaining me as I helped bury it. She would take like a little garden trellis and help dig with my shovel. But yeah, no, dude, I really do think having a girlfriend help with the cancer part. But I also want to talk about the way we even deal with cancer derives from like really unethical studies. Like people wonder, how do we even have the data on how to deal with cancer? And it's from the Holocaust, actually.
Damn.
That's actually what it's from. And it's not only is it unethical, but it's just really bad science, because it's an emaciated group of one race, essentially. Or and so you're gonna get really bad data.
Yeah, these motherfuckers put people through the ringworm, and we're like, all right, this is like the best way, but it probably wasn't. It was just the most fucked up way. And then they just fucking got away with that in the States, being like, yeah, let's use the technology.
And I'm not bullshitting or like going off of like some Alex Jones website. This is from the Nuremberg trial documents. There are 13 Nuremberg trials, so you can read those online. But they actually there were Nazi doctors that were put on trial, and yeah, there were chemotherapy AIDS drugs. There's there's like cheaper versions of vaccines that derive from that, because Jonas Salk had a really great idea with the vaccine. He made it really safe, and because it was so safe, you could only make 10 a day as a technician. But then the Nazis found a way to make it a producer benefit as opposed to a consumer benefit, and they found a way to make 1,500 vaccines a day. So there's a lot of cheap, unsafe vaccines that derive from the Nazi doctors as opposed to like the really safe Jonas Salk vaccines. So, I mean, just between AIDS drugs, chemotherapy drugs, and that, you're talking a lot of our foundation of medicine being off of really unethical studies. And the
unethical studies by Nazis, which also like points to the fact that NASA and all our space research has been started by Nazis. We recruited 4,000 Nazis.
Werner von Braun was the main guy who helps with our space propulsion research.
And then he also, like, on his tombstone, he also mentioned like some proverb from like fucking like the Bible. And when you look up that proverb, it talks about like the earth being like a sphere, and that like aliens are like mainly the earth being a sphere. So he's almost like insinuating that the earth is flat. But that brings me to another great point. Look,
I don't get that when he says the earth is a sphere.
Yeah, like it's basically like he points to like what God said, like it's like a plane where like the underworld is down stairs, and like up there is like, I don't know.
I really think you're reaching on the earth is flat part.
A little bit.
I really think you're reaching.
This Kyrie Irving's right, but look, 9/11 is a great point to bring up right now, because
I'm gonna listen to Kyrie Irving, the guy who doesn't even know where he's gonna play next year.
No, Kyrie Irving's gonna win the title. Look, check it out, man. So, Eric, do you believe that there's any chance that the government had any fuckery with 9/11?
I have issues with that only because the government at the time was the Bush administration, and they were so incompetent in so many areas. It would be so impressive that they could pull it off, but let me be devil's advocate and point to a couple things that are pretty obviously on your corner.
Yeah.
Donald Rumsfeld announcing that there were like $1 trillion,
$2.1 trillion,
$2.1 trillion
of taxpayer money.
We don't know where it is. Just gone, and that was September 10th.
Yeah, September 10th, 2001, a day before.
So that's insanely fishy. Building 7, not going down, and like the way it went down was very peculiar, and it did look like an explosion.
As the Twin Towers.
The Pentagon, the way the plane quote unquote flew into it. When you look at the security footage, the way the fuselage breaks down is much more akin to a missile than a plane.
It's it's a lot of people that the FBI, as soon as the event happened, they secured all the footage that happened around the vicinity that would have recorded the incident happening of the plane crashing into the Pentagon, which is like up to like 70 footages of anything from like a fucking gas station camera to like a fucking security camera from like a building nearby. They secured it all and never released that shit. Why would they fucking secure it all and never show any of us like that it was really a missile? And there's another point to that Donald Rumsfeld did announced that there was $2.1 trillion missing of taxpayer money, and that there was going to be an investigation team, and all the files to investigate were in the Pentagon. Guess what building was missiled during the Pentagon attack? That building. So then then all the traces of the $2.1 trillion, which were going to be investigated, just went abyss.
So yeah, that's a pretty big.
It's a pretty
argument against it. But then the argument for it is just the same administration that couldn't even respond to Katrina.
And here's my tally to that. The Bush administration had nothing to do with the 9/11 attacks. It wasn't the factions of our government are all secluded. That's why the state has its own laws. The federal has its own laws. We don't fuck with the federal government. The state's not fucking with the fucking medical marijuana, like Schedule 1 that the federal government has it under. That's why it's legal and recreational here and in many states. There's parts of the government that are not working together. Like the CIA department was not working together with the White House Security Department, which was appointed by Bill Clinton and led up to the 9/11 attacks.
Well, I have more. So on top of that, what if Devil's Advocate is just a lot of segmented pieces of government that aren't listening to each other? And let me give you an example. Condoleezza Rice literally had multiple memos, like saying, telling her about, hey, there's these two guys learning to fly plane, and they aren't trying to learn how to land, and Osama, like talking about Osama bin Laden, and like she had so many memos that were predicting what would occur. So we clearly did have intelligence on it, but so what? So I'm asking, could it just be a bunch of pieces of government not talking to each other, and because of that, something occurred?
That's what happened. Yeah, you're exactly right.
But you're saying something that occurred was a piece of the government, not necessarily the presidential administration, but like an FBI or a CIA or something that's...
It was a CIA operation.
Something that is always a piece of the government that is much more stable.
We don't have to say a piece when we can clarify it. It's the CIA is the one who knew these terrorists were in Malaysia in 2000. They had photos of them in Malaysia, as they already knew they were Al-Qaeda terrorists. And then they went into their hotel room to see that they fucking had USA passports. Duh, they're gonna come to the USA with these fucking passports. These Malaysian fucking these Saudi what was it? Saudi Arabia? No, not Saudi Arabia. What was it? Iraq? No, is it? No. What's the fucking? I already forgot it. These terrorist motherfuckers. The ones that
talk about the hijackers on the plane.
The hijackers on the plane were documented in Malaysia, and then we found out that they had the fucking passports in their hotel, right? Then
most of them were from Saudi Arabia. If you want the.
And then there you go, man. Saudi Arabia had a hand in this as well. The CIA. So if you check it out, the fucking the CIA had photos of these motherfuckers meeting in Malaysia. Knew the passports. We lost contact of them when they went to up north in Bangkok or whatever in Thailand, and then we know that they arrived in Los Angeles later on. So then 50 CIA agents logged. It's official now. You can go on to the fucking Google and just type it in. 50 CIA agents knew that they had landed in LAX because they had clicked the documents, all recorded. This information should have been fed to the White House security anti-terrorist motherfucker. He's on record on YouTube saying that a person high up in the CIA made sure that these records, that this notification wasn't sent to him immediately, because as soon as those photos are taken, as soon as the report came out that they came to LA, it should have went to him immediately. It doesn't go through anybody. He's the White House fucking security director. It goes straight to him. The only reason why it would be stopped from going to him is because somebody at the top, like George Tenet, fucking made it so. And we're going to take a little break from right there because I got to take a mean piss. I drank a lot of Budweiser.
I could continue talking.
Eric Abbenante going to talk about that. Let's see what he thinks.
So, okay, so I get what you're saying, but there is a counter argument, and it's essentially just that a lot of these pieces of government aren't talking to each other very well. But I guess you could say that, that there is a lot of conspiracy theory type thinking that maybe we did do a terrorist attack on ourselves because then you can enact things like the Patriot Act, which and Niles, you can jump in on the mic while he's taking a piss. Why not?
What's up, niggas?
Yeah, I mean, so what do you think about this? Like, just give me your perspective really quick.
I don't have like a clear cut what I think happened.
And that's for me. That's the point I want to make too. Is I don't really have a clear cut thing. I think it is too fuzzy because they have purposely redacted a lot of the information from the public, so we don't really know.
Right.
But from the bits and pieces we do think we know, what do you think?
There's definitely some foul play, I think, just from I feel like there's been so many people to come speak out that were in buildings at the time, that were in the government, working in the government, all those kind of things, for you to believe that, oh, it's just what the media told us. There's just way too much out there to not question some things. Do I think the country enacted its own terrorist attack on citizens? I don't know if I'm completely convinced about that at the moment.
Because the conspiracy theory would be something like, we did this, and it is not unprecedented. The Russian government has actually talked about how they have enacted terrorist attacks on themselves to try to get the public scared.
Shit, the American government's done it before.
Yeah, we haven't ever admitted to it, but the Russian government's admitted to the fact that they've done this on their own citizens to get them scared enough that you could do stuff like enact the Patriot Act, which is a grave violation of our privacy. Mm-hmm. But it's, but I'm still having trouble making that leap.
Let me hear the counters of the White House correspondent not getting the memos that he should have got immediately.
Wait, what?
The memos that the CIA documented of the terrorists coming to LA should have gone directly to the White House security motherfucker.
You mean Condoleezza Rice?
No, his name was Richard A. Clark.
Okay.
He was National Coordinator of Security, Infrastructure, Protection of Counterterrorism in office 1998 to 2003. He's the one that all these CIA documents, literally, he would get hundreds of documents every morning. He'd just open his laptop. As soon as the CIA agent sent the document to headquarters, he would just get it. Boom. They documented those terrorists coming to Los Angeles in 2000. We know that they came from Bangkok with these passports, and we know that they're fucking Al-Qaeda terrorists. That document, as soon as the CIA agent published that, it should have gone immediately to Richard A. Clark and the head of the CIA. The only person that could have stopped that fucking intel coming to Richard A. Clark is the head of the CIA, which is the director, George Tenet. The motherfucker in this is that if 2 weeks before 9/11, George Tenet, Richard Blee, which is his right-hand man, and some other fat motherfucker, said to the United States government, yo, man, we need to do something real quick. We think that there's a big national emergency happening in the country. And then they just didn't have the evidence enough to sway the people listening in our government to actually do something about this, because they didn't share the information that they had already known that these motherfuckers were in Los Angeles since 2000. If Richard A. Clark, the National Coordinator of Security of Infrastructure Protection of Counterterrorism, he says on the YouTube video that you can look up online, if they would have told them that simple information, that they already knew who they were, since they already had their passports documented back in 2000 in Malaysia, they could have put an APB or whatever, the national fucking security alert, they could have got him. Richard A. Clark says that. But they didn't say that. And then 2 weeks or whatever, how many months after the 9/11 attack happened, these motherfuckers were investigated on by a special court for the investigation of 9/11. Again, the same people that fucking said that we should do something 2 weeks before, they were investigated as to why they fucking felt that way. And then the Richard A. Clark goes on to say that if they would have told us the intel that they had that from Malaysia, from Los Angeles, that they got in 2000, if they would have told us 2 weeks before, not only would we have prevented the 9/11 attack, we would have fucking investigated all the CIA for malfeasance and fucking took out their fucking heads.
Okay, so there's two sides to this. There's the people like Richard A. Clark who have good intel, just like the people who were sending the good intel to Condoleezza Rice. And there's people like George Tenet and Condoleezza Rice who, if you think they're complicit in the cover-up, then what they're doing is ignoring this information. So why would they be ignoring this information? Because that is interesting, that George Tenet, the head of CIA, and then your Secretary of Defense, Condoleezza Rice.
Exactly, and I wanted to know that. Why would they be implicit in this? Why would they want to help a lot of Americans get killed? Because, look, they got paid. In this country, all that matters is that you got money in your bank account.
Okay, so
these motherfuckers got paid in a lot of ways. Cause look, why?
I get that they might have got paid. But I'm saying
not
how
that
would the
might have, they got
how
really paid.
how would the CIA have funneled this money? So you're saying what I'm asking
they're
you?
getting paid as their own people. They're getting paid in jobs that they got later on in life. George Tenet works for the Allen and Allen company. They're like a Wall Street fucking They're known to be fucking super rich and keep the publicity to them very low. I looked up once I found out all about this shit about George Tenet. I was like, what's this motherfucker doing now after he quit from being the director of the CIA? Oh, what do you know? He's working for Allen and Allen Company.
Well, so what I'm asking is, do you think the CIA funneled that $2.1 trillion that Donald Rumsfeld reported missing to a bunch of people who were complicit in the cover-up? Is that what you're saying? I'm
saying that these motherfuckers all had a hand in working with each other to make this whole conspiracy happen. It's all not just
okay.
one.
No, I'm getting you're saying a conspiracy happen. I want the specifics. Do you think that $2.1 trillion that Donald Rumsfeld was reported missing, do you think that's the money that we're talking about?
I think it's that money and the fucking ability to help the Saudi Arabia government against Iraq. Man, we're we're tied in with the fucking Saudi government like motherfuckers. If you haven't seen the photos before the 2001 attacks of Bin Laden shaking hands with fucking Hillary Clinton and the big ups in our government, then you are a fool.
Well, okay, I'm going to push back on this a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
The Saudi government from oil makes $160 billion a year.
They make a lot of fucking money.
Now, that seems like a lot, but we make $56 billion just off of weapons trades per year. And then think about all the other industries we have. We're going to easily get up to way past the trillions, past that 160 trillion that the Saudis are making. Do you really think that 160 trillion is enough to 160 billion a year? Do you think
enough to influence us? But look, check this out. You don't in America, the country's only been around for 250 years. The white people, the Anglo-Saxons, the Europeans that came over here, they started their money and they accumulated their money through slavery, and over the times they have given it to their descendants, and we have families that have fucking profited a lot from fucking bullshit from the past, right? And America has 250 years of that, and they've accumulated a nice little, chunk. But compared to the Saudi Arabia government, their families go back thousands of years. They make 160 billion a year. That's pennies to their fucking whole fortune. They have fortunes that we don't even fucking know about. These motherfuckers could go down to $1 billion and be so upset and sad that they're so broke.
But okay, I'm still. So, do you think that this extends to this government administration today?
Of course it does.
Because here's what I'm asking: Russia clearly has a lot of ties to Saudi Arabia. I mean, it's
all about the money.
So, do you think that that's part of the Russian collusion today? That there's Saudi people paying, it's like Russian and United States like fighting over the Saudi money.
All I know is that Eric now can't collectively put together enough money to buy a highway in the United States of America that we were all born in. I know for sure there's a lot of Saudi Arabian people that have a lot of money that own highways in America. What do you think about that? How can somebody from a country that has people that were fucking... We do it all the time, and it's bullshit, man. They shouldn't have...
I mean, it's common around the world. Rupert Murdoch, an Australian, has the biggest media companies in England and America.
It's all about the money. It doesn't really matter about fucking your race, your color. That's all bullshit they instilled on us. It's about it's class warfare. There's fucking the poor working class, there's the middle class, and then there's the fucking elites. There's a lot more poor of us out here. And there's less of these motherfuckers elite, but they happen to own all the fucking money and communication systems, and have us like pitted against each other. But if we really just all got together and we're like, where's all the trillions of dollars you talked about in 2001, the day before 9/11, and why has it accumulated now up to $15 trillion? Which is, if we found that taxpayer money, we should get reimbursed $40,000 per each of us. Each of us is entitled $40,000 that the government has already fucking lost. Why aren't we collectively coming towards that? Is because we're pitted against each other in some fucking bullshit warfare, and the Saudi Arabian government doesn't give a fuck about race or nothing. They just give a fuck about making money, and that's why they colluded with the United States government. That's why they colluded with people like Larry Silverstein, who 7 months before the 9/11 attacks, he bought the Twin Towers. If me, you, and Niles bought the Twin Towers, this is what would have happened in his case. He bought the Twin Towers, got communications that the attack was going to happen, and then he fucking got an anti-terrorism, specifically insurance policy out on the towers. A few months before the attacks even happened, he got another anti-terrorism insurance installed on both of the towers, right? When the attack happened, they took him to court after. He took the insurance company to court because they only wanted to pay him $2 billion for the Twin Towers. He argued that he lost 2 towers. So he's endowed, he's owed $4.55 billion. And you know what he got? He got $4.55 billion. You're going to tell me he fucking didn't know 7 months when he acquired these buildings that he didn't know that these attacks were going to happen, and that's why he doubled up on the insurance twice?
And I believe, I don't know if it's him, but someone pulled out their kid like that day.
Larry Silverstein is the one who owned that building. He would eat breakfast at the top of the fucking Twin Towers every morning. He woke up that day saying he felt sick. He called his fucking son and daughter, I think his daughter, I know for sure his son, to not go to the fucking buildings, have the day off. Boom. What happens that day? That he's after 300. For 7 months he was up there every day. The one day he's not. The one day his kids are not. The attacks happen.
Yeah, so I do think there's a lot of evidence.
And look, even our president Donald J. Trump is quoted on fucking news saying that, like, yeah, I don't believe this shit at all, man. I remember when the Twin Towers were fucking built. I know about infrastructure. The fucking columns for the fucking Twin Towers, the metal fucking shit that built them, so solid, bro. The fucking paper aluminum airplanes that came could have caused a dent. Not enough to fucking obliterate that shit. And then you got fucking reports that there were a lot of construction workers right before the fucking attacks doing something in the basement. Yeah, demolition, bro. You fucking ask Victor one day what his dad does for work.
He's a structural engineer.
He's a structural engineer. I was so surprised. I told him.
Because Victor's so structurally unsound.
No.
You know, if someone looked at Victor's body, they're like, that body is not up to code.
I'm just so impressed. But the point is that I asked him, has your dad told you what he thinks about 9/11? And he's like, oh, yeah, man, he thinks that shit ain't true. And my mind was blown. I was like, why do you think that? He was like, why does he think that? He was like, yeah, because he knows how fucking strong the fucking building was and how fucking a paper airplane can't fucking hit a building that strong and make it collapse the way it did. It's not structurally sound. It's against science.
I don't know a lot about physics or structural engineering or any of that shit.
It's crazy, man.
What do you think about that whole concept, the fire corroding the stability of the building, and then eventually it did pancake and collapse on itself? Do you believe that aspect of it, that the fire could corrode the building to the point where it did pancake on itself?
Because
the phrase that
jet fuel.
Yeah, jet fuel can't melt steel beams or whatever.
No, motherfucker. How hot was that fucking jet fuel in that impact? All right, it melted some. Let's say it did melt like a few of those beams, like two buildings, two like fucking row 40, row 98, and row 97. Jet fuel fucked that up. But you gonna tell me from there on that shit fucked up row 98 to 22 to obliteration? Go fuck yourself.
No, I'm asking you. You don't think?
No, it's definitely not true, man. The point is that there was a whole group of 50 CIA agents that knew that these motherfuckers were in Los Angeles, that knew that they had passports, and that knew that a Saudi Arabian intelligent agent that was here in the United States contacted them and gave them home and showed them around. We knew that they were in New York. We have photos of them fucking All right, Zion Williams hurt his knee. I can't believe it. But a whole lot of shit fucking happened.
Talk about ground zero. Another conspiracy. There was a second shooter on Zion Williamson's knee.
There might have been, man, because look, man, they don't want to see black people succeed that much, man. They just want to keep it in line. That's why they only let people that are fucking big, strong, and like LeBron, like, oh, yeah, just play basketball. Because if he would have got into politics, towering over these little white Anglo-Saxons that control the world, he would have been the man. He'd be making changes. That's why he builds schools. That's why he's a good person after he makes all his money. But they don't want that. They don't want to see that in politics. They just want to keep it to themselves with all these fucking ugly-ass looking wannabe actors.
Like, what do you think about the political scene in general right now? Like,
I think the political scene right now is to shit, man. Donald J. Trump has completely shit our country. He wants to build a wall in Mexico only because he wants to give a lot of the money to his brethren so that they can make a lot of the money and outsource the fucking work just as they did in Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico should have got, let's say, $500 million in infrastructure help to Donald J. Trump. Oh, yeah, bro, let me give this final $100 million that I got a taxpayer money to go help Puerto Rico. Let me go give that to my brother-in-law. His brother-in-law pocketed $400 million of that. Not really. He pocketed $499 million of that. Outsourced $1 million to Puerto Rico. Duh, you pay these Puerto Rican people $14 an hour instead of paying the American wages to actually fucking really build this shit. And then you get built. That shit takes not only forever to get rebuilt, and it gets built real shittily because these workers are paid shittily because only 1% of the money, not even 1% of the money that should have been allowed to them was given to them.
well,
It's gonna happen the same thing in the wall right here. And the problem is that there's a national emergency to get funding for this wall. Bitch, let's give $15 million to Flint, Michigan to get some clean water because they haven't had that shit for 9 years.
well,
These motherfuckers turn on the tap and that shit is brown. You think that the levels of fucking lead poisoning in these children in fucking Flint, Michigan has gone up double?
well,
You think that's okay for a fucking United States government who fucking is the empire to be okay with?
well, the first bill that Trump's passed was to put to allow companies to dump coal ash in rivers. So I don't think they really care about water quality. But what I'm gonna say is the other interesting how deep this goes is we found out that part of the revenue we're getting from the Trump tax cuts already. Do you know what that's going to? Jared Kushner's legal fees. We just found that out like a week ago. So, I mean, it goes really deep.
We're paying for lawyers?
We're paying for lawyers on the illegal shit that they are doing. I mean, Jared Kushner is deep into the Russian collusion stuff. And so it's like the American taxpayers are literally paying for a government to be crooked upon ourselves. It is amazing.
As the game has been, as always, but this time the motherfucker won. And the people that usually ran it were like, oh, man, we lost this time.
That's why you should have run me. You should have run Bernie.
And then what do you think about running Bernie? Bernie's 2020 candidate. What do you think about that?
I mean, he's not going to win, but he's the exact.
You think he's going to win?
No. He's got too good of policies. His policies are actually about taking money away from the establishment and giving it to us. There's no way he's going to win. But he's the thing I love about people like Bernie is pushing everyone towards the left, and so you wouldn't have an Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez without someone like Bernie, and that's just a reality of it. She wouldn't have had the chance to win without someone like him opening the door. And he's been and that is something you got to give credit to, like him and Elizabeth Warren. They've been on message the whole time they've been in public. Elizabeth Warren, before she was even a politician, she was exposing a lot of things that were being the ways that the consumer was being screwed by the companies. You know, she started with credit cards and student loans, and then expanded out from there. And so you got to give credit to the people who have been on message to the point where it looks like they were predicting it, you know. So I do like Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren policy wise, but that doesn't mean that them as a politician are going to win. You know,
It just means they're gonna have the fan favorite on social media, on Reddit, on Dig, if that's still around, Instagram.
I like. I mean, I like Elizabeth Warren, but she isn't charismatic enough. Kamala Harris, I believe, has the best shot of the females. I don't think she's gonna ultimately win, but she does remind me of if Hillary Clinton had a backbone. I will say that she is pretty tough. She is good in interviews. I don't like her policy-wise, but I feel like on the Democratic side, she will be a problem for pretty much everyone not named Joe Biden. I think she will be at least second place. I think she does have the potency to do something like that, but I do think in the end the Democrats have shown that they're afraid of winning and they want to pick the losers. And so they're going to pick someone like Joe Biden. Even though Bernie Sanders did pull 15 points higher than Hillary Clinton throughout the entirety of the campaign when compared to Donald Trump.
Yeah, and the documents came out that Russia helped us release that the fucking whole Democratic National Convention was against fucking Bernie.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Hillary pulled a bunch of strings.
You didn't need Russia to tell you that. Donna Brazil from within the DNC exposed the DNC for what it was. And, you know, there's a lot of people within the DNC who think that Bernie won California. And if they count all the votes and they let Bernie win California, he actually gets the nomination for the DNC, not Hillary.
And here's my point to all this. I just want to let this out there. Dick Gregory was a great comedian. He is a forever great comedian. Rest in peace to Dick Gregory. He died not too long ago. He's quoted saying on a YouTube interview a few months before he died that he thought Bernie was a CIA agent. Because he just came out of nowhere. And he makes a great point. Oh, yeah, Bernie fucking was here. This photo of him fighting here. Him photo of this and that back in the days. Bitch, man, I could make that photo back in my fucking Photoshop, man. You gonna tell me those are real photos? Get the fuck out of here. And if they're real photos, then they just been fucking documenting. They just been fucking, like, planning this shit from the get-go, man. They're like, all right, man. Because they're smart, too, man. They know they know the long game is the game, man. So they fucking planted Bernie to take these photos.
The CIA asked Jon Stewart to make fun of Bernie Sanders, like, from the beginning of his. Like, there are clips, like, early in the Jon Stewart Daily Show.
We're talking about Dick Gregory. Dick Gregory accused
I'm just saying, like,
he came
so
out of nowhere.
Why are there clips, like, throughout the 2000s of Bernie
point.
Sanders, then, if he was, like, a CIA plant?
Because he motherfucker. Wait, say that one more time?
So, okay, growing up watching The Daily Show, I was exposed to Bernie Sanders early just because he fucking looks like Doc Brown, and he talks like this. And so Jon Stewart made fun of him, like, all the time. And so, like, I was just exposed to him early on. Like, you saying, like, he was a CIA plant from the beginning?
It was, because you know what? I was exposed to him early on because I've been a Reddit member for the last fucking 9 years. So Reddit's been posting the real shit for the last couple of years. For the beginning of my duration of it, but the last couple of years it's been controlled by fucking agencies and shit like that. But the main point is that I saw a lot of people sucking Bernie Sanders' dick on Reddit. That's why I didn't give a lot of shit about him being nominated or him being in the race. Because I knew the system was behind him. If Reddit is fucking behind him as a Democratic motherfucker, he's going to win, right? So I didn't give a fuck. I only gave a fuck until I started finding out that he was colluded against. And I was like, oh, shit. And then I found out that he's fucking part CIA fucking because of Dick Gregory. And then I found out that Dick Gregory once ran for president against Richard Nixon in the 70s and got 20,000 votes in some bumfuck town that he knows nothing. He knows nobody from there. He's never met any people from his fucking people that surround him that are descendants from people of that town that he got 20,000 votes on. And he says that, like, why would they give me these votes? Obviously, these votes are meant to go to Nixon, but they flipped the machine wrong. If they were flipping machines in the 70s, guess what they do now? Now they just fucking blatantly tell us that, oh, yeah, they're in the airport. We just never counted them.
Wow. Thank you for that. Thank you for the down... we should just call this down the Roger hole instead of down the rabbit hole, man.
It's fucking facts, man. It's fucking facts, man. The system's fucking rigged, man. It's all rigged. If you read 1984,
So
which,
there's no
if
way,
you read 1984,
there's
which
no
is
way
published
that
in
20,000
1949,
people in some town could have just been like, "Fuck Nixon, let's vote for Dick Gregory."
no, bro, because the fucking why would they vote? Why would a fucking town with a bunch of white people vote for a black guy they don't know instead of Richard Nixon? That doesn't make sense.
What if they were Democrat?
No, that doesn't make sense, bro. No white people in some small town gonna vote for Dick Gregory, and nobody, not a nobody, but a known comedian, but not a big politician. Why would they vote for him? Why would 20,000 vote for him? It was such a big spectacle that a fucking local newspaper reported about it because it was so astounding. And then he had that paper clipping during that interview on YouTube 7 months before he died of him saying that. He had the newspaper clipping of it. He had a portfolio of a bunch of newspaper clippings with him because he knew just how George Orwell knew in 1949 when he wrote 1984 that the machine will change information before your eyes. So you have to hold on to that with physical documents, audiobooks. Apple, they're killing. It's book burning. The less we hold these actual books, the more they're online, the more they can change it. If 1984 completely fucking goes away from being a physical copy, they can completely do what they want to it online, man. So I forgot my point, but these motherfuckers be changing shit up, and you gotta make sure you fucking hold documents like Dick Gregory did, because that's why would an old man hold documents
I
everywhere?
do think that's the smartest point you made on the podcast, is that that is why physical hard copies are so important, because we can't, information can't be altered. I do agree with that premise. That's a very smart premise. That's why during
like the first 2-3
I don't
years
agree with any of the Dick Gregory shit.
Like
any other politician
show.
is like, oh, why did I get these votes? You know, no one else thinks that way but Dick Gregory's paranoid ass.
No, Dick Gregory was a man. And we'll end the podcast on this. Look, I have I found a Dick Gregory comedy album at Amiibo for like $1. I got it. It's one of the greatest comedy albums I've ever heard. He's in a college town talking about how racism is bullshit. How like, don't forget that we need to all come together. Even like white kids that fucking live in like rural Mississippi who don't got any help, because it's all a part of being the working class and being together instead of being apart from race, which is what they instilled on us. If we all come together as a working class and as a proletariat, then we can really cause some change. So just he just wanted to point that out, and I want to point that out as well.
Sounds like someone at that college gave him some great acid. Tell you right now.
He probably fucked a lot of these fucking college bitches, and God bless.
What do you think about?
Oh wait, let's do the Hitler photo real quick.
What?
Let's talk about the Hitler photo real quick.
Okay.
So the CIA has a document on their CIA.gov library reading room docs Hitler/2C. No, not Hitler. Look it up. Just type it in. Basically, they micro.
Excellent podcast.
They have a photo. The CIA on their website has a photo of a fucking homeboy Adolf Hitler in 1954.
If you call him a homeboy again, I swear to fucking God.
No, not a if motherfucker, the CIA on their website has a photo of Hitler, and on the back of it says Adolf Hitler, Argentina, June 1954. Why would the CIA have this photo on their website?
I mean, it's the greatest fucking photo of all time.
It's a great. But why would we also believe Hitler's right hand man to tell us that he burned his body alive? Eric, I love you. Niles, I love you, man. If we were fighting the government and then I had to surrender, I'd be like, I'm gonna go tell them I burned you, bitch asses. Go run to Argentina. I know these motherfuckers are over there. There's a bunch of us over there, man. And I would go to the United States government and be like, I burned my homies. And then the United States government was like, yeah, that's cool, bro. We believe you. And then some CIA agents in Argentina are like, yo, we fucking took a photo of this fool out here, bro.
there were so many different factions that wanted him dead.
Yo, Nas Zaption's going to show. You got to fucking check out Nas Zaption's showcase on the 28th. He's showcasing for a JFL, man. It's a badass motherfucker. It's going to be at the Improv. So check it out, man. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Improv at 7:30. Yo, with that being said, man, look up that document. Roger, that's coming up to an end. I appreciate you, Eric. We've been talking this is the longest podcast I've had to date. Which is amazing, bro.
I appreciate it, bro. Thanks for coming on to the network.
Oh, thank you for having me, bro. I really appreciate this. I appreciate this whole Channel 310 Studios and everything you built, really.
Hell yeah. Check out Hite Tonight show, Small Talk with Lila Hart.
Oh, wait, yeah. What are your plugs, man? What are your plugs?
Just everything on Channel 310 right now. What's in season is Hite Tonight show, Small Talk, and Grow Up. So check out those. And, of course, Roger that.
Hey, thank you very much. Roger that up.